Ladies and gentlemen, the Durham probe has found inaccuracies in a very interesting request by the indicted lawyer Sussman, his defense team, and addressed these inaccuracies in a rebuttal to the court. So the lawyer that was indicted said, hey, dismiss the charges. And what he said was, or what his attorneys said, was, quote, and if you could believe this, allowing this case to go forward would risk criminalizing ordinary conduct, raise First Amendment concerns, dissuade honest citizens from coming forward with tips, and chill the advocacy of lawyers who interact with the government. Sussman argued in a 29-page motion to dismiss, filed in a Washington, D.C.-based federal court. This is an article, lawyer indicted in Durham probe asks court to dismiss charge. The Durham probe has refuted all of this, but the interesting thing is if you go line by line, the request to have the case dismissed, which that won't happen. The case won't be dismissed because there's too much evidence. There's far too much evidence that shows that Sussman was hired specifically to weave a fabricated narrative and get government officials to investigate Donald Trump. That is a crime. He lied. Okay, the reason he's indicted is because he lied about being paid by Clinton. However, if you look at this, allowing this case would go forward would risk criminalizing ordinary conduct. It is not ordinary conduct to engage in surveillance of an incoming candidate. It is not ordinary conduct to be paid by an incoming president's direct political rival. It is not ordinary conduct to work with tech executives and researchers at Georgia Tech to obtain as much information on Donald Trump as possible in various locations, including the executive branch, and then meet with the Central Intelligence Agency to give them this information. These people are not working for any intelligence service. They're working for Trump's direct political rivals. And the information that was given was false and fabricated and bogus. The Bureau initially found out that, the information led to nothing because it was some kind of marketing database. It had nothing to do with Trump and a back channel. They love to use these, drugstore spy novel type of, back channel. It was a back channel. It's like, well, you know what? It's not that difficult to find out if there's an operative, a foreign operative. It's really not that difficult. Ask Eric Swalwell. Okay? It's not that difficult. But you wouldn't need an attorney paid by Clinton to find out if Trump was actually working with Russia. Because, I don't know, we have $30 billion in budget, in total budget for the three agencies that were highly to moderately confident. So you wouldn't need Sussman or anyone, Danchenko or anybody. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. This is a very important segment. Share this everywhere. And hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. Read my Federalist article below. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're still on social media, I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. I haven't for years. But if you're still on social media and you want to still be, I suggest you delete your Twitter account and Facebook. Just get off social media, especially since the sky is falling. And, everything from a stock market crash that I predicted in the Federalist is taking place. So read that article, share it. In October of 2021, in the Federalist, I explained what would take place, what is taking place now, and I predicted all of this. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel that's below in the pinned comment. I'll have a very important segment tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this, and if you want to read my writing on The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, other publications, the Daily Caller, go to hagoodman.com. But ladies and gentlemen, allowing this case to go forward would risk criminalizing ordinary conduct. Well, that's absurd, because ordinary conduct is not what Sussman was paid to engage in. First, raise First Amendment concerns. First Amendment? Yeah, well, let's see. You are obtaining information in a clandestine manner and trying to set up and frame your direct political rival because you were paid to do so, and you apparently lied to James Baker. So they're not going to dismiss this because they have the government saying, hey, they lied to us. Now it gets interesting. So you have bureau officials saying, well, he lied to us. We really thought he was a honest citizen, Sussman. We had no clue that he was working for Clinton. We had no clue at all. We were duped. We were highly impressionable, gullible government officials. Well, Sussman, his defense team will say, hey, listen, James Baker and everybody, they were all in on it. But that's what's taking place here. That's what's going on here. So, dissuade honest citizens from coming forward with tips. You're talking about somebody coming forward because he was paid to do so, not because he cared about the country, and that is what James Baker said. Or that's what the government vantage point is. Excuse me. The government vantage point is that he came to them. The Bureau, the FBI vantage point is that they obtained this information from Sussman, and they had no clue that Sussman was paid by Clinton, and he lied about it. So they were duped. And it wasn't a tip. It was fabricated nonsense. It literally states within the indictment correspondence saying, hey, we need to weave a narrative for VIPs. They are weaving a narrative. They are not. They are simply not. They are absolutely not, working on behalf of some noble cause. So that is a huge issue in and of itself. But then you said, and chill the advocacy of lawyers who interact with the government. That should be chilled. They should chill that. Lawyers who interact with the government are doing so most lawyers who interact with the government in this capacity are doing so not for national interest or for the country's sake or for the democracy. The antithesis of democracy is setting up and framing an incoming candidate. The antithesis of democracy also is having another country battle your global adversary. So God bless the people of Ukraine. God bless the people who are fighting and who are suffering. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's happening under mashed potato brains, Biden, because he refused to negotiate some kind of deal or peace treaty or settlement or some kind of negotiated agreement where Ukraine would say, okay, we're not joining NATO, but we don't want to be, we can't have you invade. And also, we need to fix what's taking place in the East or address that or address Crimea. They could have negotiated a deal that would have been much better, knowing exactly what Russia would do, which is exactly why NATO didn't allow Ukraine into its alliance, why Biden didn't allow Ukraine into NATO. The reason is because they wanted to create this very duplicitous and disingenuous foreign policy that one day Ukraine would be part of NATO. We just don't know when that day would come, and gee, God, they're too corrupt, but they're not too corrupt for Hunter, which, by the way, the Durham probe will address. And all the while, you're utilizing a country to provoke a greater power. It's wrong what Russia did, but we knew that they would do that. The longer the notion that one day Ukraine would join NATO, we knew that they would invade to prevent that possible reality or that fabricated myth. Anyway, all of this is taking place under Biden's administration. They set up and framed Trump so people would have these nightmares that all of this would take place under Trump's administration, but it's taking place under Biden. But still you have millions upon millions of Americans who have been duped. You have tens of millions of Americans who still think that Russia wanted Trump when every possible horrible thing that could take place between Russia and the U.S. is taking place under Biden, and also took place at one point under President Obama when Crimea was taken. There's a reason that Crimea was taken under Obama and Ukraine's being invaded under Biden, and nothing took place with Trump. And then they say, well, the Kremlin had everything it wanted. No, it didn't. That is the most pathetic excuse You're so embarrassed and mortified that all of this is taking place under your political establishment, that the Kremlin had everything it wanted, so therefore it didn't invade Russia? Ukraine? What? No. It would have loved to invade Ukraine sooner. Unfortunately, Putin would have loved to, but he had to wait until Biden waived sanctions on Nord Stream 2. And until the United States, because of wonderful, morally superior Democrats and media, pushed to end economic activity because of you-know-what, which opened up a Pandora's box of, untold financial calamities. Endless financial calamities. But anyway, and everything I talked about in the Federalist in October, read that article and share it everywhere, please. It's below in the pinned comment. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Some people say, well, stick to the topic. These topics are related. All of this, you have to look at the Durham probe. The Durham probe is not separate or independent from what's happening in Russia, Ukraine. It's all one very, very sad picture. And this picture you see is the antithesis of democracy. An incoming administration framed and set up as a puppet of another country. And then when that administration is forced out, the people who set up and framed Trump are now experiencing everything possible that could go wrong. From inflation, that's runaway inflation, gas prices through the roof, and Russia doing exactly what it wanted to do for years. They waited for a purpose. They didn't wait. To think that Russia didn't invade under Trump because they had everything they wanted, is this the most ludicrous, absurd, stupid response to an obvious display of weakness by President Biden? It's not military weakness. It's weakness in terms of diplomacy and economic weakness. Russia knows at the end of the day that the more sanctions leveled against them, the faster our economic decline takes place. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. And at the end of the day, they will unfortunately achieve their objectives. And these objectives, you could have saved so many lives if you were Biden by simply negotiating a deal prior to this invasion. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.